Hey, this is Derek. So this is the fourth video. It's going to be the last video. We're actually leaving Bali in a few days, going back to Portland, Oregon for the summer. And so I really wanted to talk about what happens after you launch. What do you do after the book launch to have long-term success and sales? And this is really important. There was a conversation on Facebook this week, and someone was asking this question. I actually see all the time posts like, my first book launch wasn't very successful. What do I do next? What do I do now? My book isn't selling. I see a lot of those. But this one conversation was really interesting because it basically said, you know, even though everyone told me not to expect big things from my first book launch, of course I still expected big things. Everybody, you know, they think, well, those rules don't apply to me. My book is going to be a huge million-copy bestseller, and it's important to believe those things and to have those big hopes and dreams, because if you don't believe your book is going to change the world, it's harder to stay motivated and finish the book. So, you know, writing a book is hard enough. If you don't believe anyone's going to read it, or if you know that, you know, 95% of authors sell less than 100 copies, if that's your expectation, it's going to be hard to motivate and to feel good about finishing your book and be excited about it. So the question was basically, okay, I've had my first book launch and I found out everybody was right. I didn't sell any copies. This is what everybody told me about. But how do I still keep the motivation? Like, now that I know the truth, now that I know that book marketing is really hard, and my book won't just automatically sell millions of copies by itself, now what do I do? How do I keep writing and write more books when I know the harsh reality is that, you know, nobody's going to read my books unless I do the marketing? And every book launch isn't going to be successful, but every book launch should be more successful than your previous book launches, because you're learning. And that's also why I'll talk about in this video why I'm a big proponent of DIY and do it yourself. Because if you're just paying somebody else to try to do your marketing for you, you're not going to be learning with every launch, and you're not going to be getting better with every launch, which means you're going to keep investing the same amount of money for the same amount of results, but you're never really going to be able to scale and get better and grow faster. So maybe your first book launch wasn't that successful. That's totally normal. It's completely normal and fine, and you should still feel proud if your book launch didn't sell that well. The important stuff is what you do next. What do you do after you launch your first book? What do you learn? How do you relaunch books that failed? And keep producing more content, because that's really going to make the difference between successful full-time writing as a career author and somebody who just published a book and then they gave up. So now I'm going to talk about how to scale your business to 1,000 a month and beyond. So 1,000 a month may not seem like a ton of money, although if you can even get to like 100 a month, you're already way ahead of most authors, because like I said, most books don't actually make any money for a variety of reasons, but usually because they're not deliberately meant to satisfy the demands of the market or an audience. If you don't have a book that people enjoy, it's going to be hard to make any money. But if you do have a book that people enjoy, there are things you can do to scale to 1,000 a month and beyond. Because once you learn a system and you get better about writing books that sell and publishing, there are things that you can do to scale. So when we talk about scaling, what that basically means is you need to make more money from every book and spend less time and money getting books out there, so that you have some room and you actually have profit. Once your books are profitable, you can invest money in advertising or visibility. You can hire help. You can get someone else to do some things for you. If your books aren't profitable, you have to do everything yourselves, and you won't really have extra money to invest in advertising. And if you don't have any extra money to spend to save yourself time so you can be writing more books, you're always kind of going to be stuck, and it's going to be difficult to grow your business in a way that you can become more and more profitable, and that's also a more sustainable business. Ideally, like, you don't want to be doing everything yourself, but you also don't want to be sinking money into an expensive publishing hobby if it's not really earning a return on your investment. So I'm going to talk about a few ways you can fix your book and learn from your mistakes after you've published. And that's really the key, is that with every book launch you should be learning, you should be getting better, and you should learn what didn't work. So it's really important to fail, and to fail quickly, and to keep putting out more books and to keep failing, because if you don't fail, you're not going to learn. You might have like one good successful book launch, but then it stops selling and you don't learn anything, and you don't learn how to build your platform or get more book reviews, or you don't figure out, why isn't my book selling? Why did nobody buy it? Why doesn't anybody like it? If you don't figure that stuff out, you can't do better next time. And the secret to long-term sustainable sales as an author is to continually be improving and learning so that every book is easier and you can spend less time and money and earn more money back so that you can invest more in your author business. So a few things you can do. Like I talked about in the earlier videos, your main thing are visibility, conversion, and platform. So the visibility is just getting more visibility for less time and money. Finding out how to use keywords or getting put in the right categories, or to get more people to see your message or your book. So that's really important. There's two ways to do that. You can either do organic visibility with content marketing, which means basically blogging or guest posting or list trades with other authors, or two, advertising. Advertising is really powerful. It's the easiest way to sell more books, especially Amazon ads, but also Facebook ads and maybe BookBub ads. But like I said, it's difficult to do those well. So if you don't have a profitable product, if your main Amazon page isn't converting cold traffic into buyers, then you're going to have a problem and you're not going to be able to invest in advertising. That's something you can get better at, and with every book launch, hopefully you have a better, stronger offer that converts more. And as long as your book is kind of converting the right audience and you know who your audience is, then you can spend money on ads. And once you get to a point where you're basically breaking even, like if I can spend $100 on ads and make $100 back, that's magnificent, because then you can just keep spending money. Then you could spend $1,000 or $10,000 on ads and make the money back. As long as you're making your money back, you're basically building your platform for free, and that's hard to achieve. That's where you want your ambition to be. That's where you want to get to. It's difficult at first, and it's easy to just spend a bunch of money and not see results and give up and say Facebook ads doesn't work for me, or blogging doesn't work for me, or whatever doesn't work for me because I tried it once and I failed. You want to be careful not to do that. Most authors give up, which is why there's a saying I like, which is that there's always room at the top, which just means 95% of authors, they fail and they give up and they never invest in the skills to get really good at marketing or writing or publishing. If you can be at that small percent that's actually successful, there's not that much competition because there's not many authors. Most authors, they're not trying to write books that readers love. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not running their publishing as a business. They're just kind of doing it for themselves, and then they care too much about the results. So if their book doesn't sell or they get negative reviews, they just give up and they think, I'm not a writer. Nobody likes what I want to write, so I'm not cut out for this. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Hundreds of thousands of authors publishing a book every year, but most of them don't stick. Most of them publish a couple books and they give up. As long as you can stick with it long enough to develop the skills so that you can actually make profit with your books, then you're in a really unique position, because most authors never reach that stage. Those were the kind of the main ones, and I've talked about them in other videos, were the visibility and the conversion, but also, like I mentioned, your platform or your fans, because with every book launch, you should be building your email list, you should be building traffic to your blog, and you should be building fans who appreciate your writing. It's much easier to sell your books to existing fans who already like your books than it is to sell your books to complete strangers. It's also easier to reach those people. So instead of paying to access somebody else's platform or paying for advertising, once they're on your list, you can just send out an email to people you know like your writing and just say, hey, I have a new book launch out. You need to know what kind of books to write that are going to be more successful and more profitable. So having someone to help you just to get the right ideas before you spend months writing a book, that can be really valuable. And with every book launch, your platform will grow, your audience will grow. It will get easier and easier the more books that you put out. It's not just about the marketing, and actually your goal shouldn't be to market more, it should be to stop marketing. Once you build your platform, you should be able to get to a point where you just don't market your books anymore. You just have to focus on writing more books. So even if you finish your book and you publish it, which is a huge accomplishment, marketing can be overwhelming and you don't know where to start. So somebody left a really funny comment on my Facebook group. I'm trying to figure everything out myself. It's like you're trying to fly a plane, but there are so many buttons and controls and knobs you don't know anything about, and you're trying to figure out which ones you need to fly the plane, and we're all gonna crash. There's just too much and we don't know what to focus on, and it's all too distracting, and we just want to be writing our books and not worried about the marketing. This is actually a really big problem for authors, because it's not just about finishing the book or publishing the book or marketing the book. there are so many other things. If you identify as a writer, if you have this dream of being a full-time author and your first book fails, it's really easy to feel demotivated or guilty. There's also the opportunity cost of not writing your books faster. If you're maybe writing a book, if you don't have a guide or a plan or the motivation, or you don't have accountability in place, it's really easy to just spend 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years writing this book and never getting it done. And the problem is, all that time, all that mental bandwidth and energy you've kind of spent thinking about writing your book, if you had just finished the book, you could have gone on to write the next book and the next and the next, or you could have focused your energy and time on other projects. So having this unfinished book hanging over your head can be a huge suck of time and energy and make you feel unfulfilled and dissatisfied, because you always feel a little bit guilty that you're not working on your book kind of all the time. So something else I think is really interesting, the other question I get a lot from authors is, when should I give up? Am I cut out for this? I've been writing for years, I've published all these books, but nobody's buying, I'm still not earning any money. When is enough enough? When should you give up on your dream? On the one hand, you should never give up. If this is your dream, if this is your passion, you shouldn't give up. You should keep writing. On the other hand, there's this really cool quote from Derek Silvers, and he says, if people aren't loving what you're doing, you should stop. And there's this weird dichotomy between, on the one hand, you have to just keep doing the work because it takes a long time to get better. So as long as you keep doing the work, as long as you keep failing a lot and publishing a lot, as long as you're learning from your mistakes, eventually you'll get to this breakthrough point where suddenly everything is easy. You want it to be hard because you're developing your skills. It's resistance training. The harder it is, the more you push through the resistance, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the more able you are to do the things to be successful faster with less work. So on the one hand, you need the persistence to just keep pushing through it. And that's important. So on the one hand, hustle, grind, just keep doing it, repetition, eventually things will work out. On the other hand, if people aren't loving what you're doing, stop, which just means if you're putting out things into the world and you're getting the visibility and you're targeting the right people and the right people don't like the books you're writing, that's a problem. You can't fix that problem with more marketing. More marketing will only help a product. I used to say more marketing will help a bad book fail faster, but I don't mean bad book. I just mean if you have a book that doesn't have a market, or if you have a book that's not what readers expect. So maybe you have something that you think is for this audience, but that audience actually doesn't like it because it's not what they expect from that genre. It's something totally different and unexpected and weird, and they don't like it. That's not something you can fix with more marketing. It's something you have to learn how to write better books that satisfy readers. So more marketing isn't necessarily what you need, which is why I really focus on guerrilla publishing, which is my system of writing books that readers love from the beginning. That's kind of the secret ingredient that most people skip over. A lot of other people will talk about the book marketing or the author platform building, and they'll tell you can be, a six-figure author or sell all these books, but it really depends on the core product, on having a book that readers love. The visibility and stuff, the packaging, the book design, that's all important, but none of it will fix the main thing, which is how much readers are satisfied with the book that you've actually written. So really quickly, I'm going to go back over some of the main topics and features of what I think the guerrilla publishing system is. Basically, it's about testing the market or doing the research before you spend hundreds of hours or months or even years writing a book. So instead of writing a book and not being sure about whether anybody will like it and being worried about, am I wasting my time, or is this book actually going to earn any money? Is anybody actually going to like this book? You can figure a lot of that out before you publish it by doing market research. Also, focusing on the readers, focusing on providing value to the readers, making that your number one goal rather than just, doing it because you love it or doing it because it's fun. Like I said earlier, it should be challenging. Just because something's fun and easy doesn't mean you're providing value to the world. Just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean other people are going to be passionate about what you're writing. So, and it's not even a balance. I think I've said somewhere before, a lot of authors have this idea of compromise. They think, if I'm passionate about the thing I want to write and I kind of also think about what readers want, and I kind of do something in the middle, that means you're going to be 50% happy and readers are going to be 50% happy. Nobody's actually going to be happy. What you want to do is make readers 100% happy, and for your goal to be pleasing readers. If your goal is pleasing readers and they're happy with what you've written, you're both going to be happy. So rather than thinking about a compromise, try to over-deliver on both ends so that everybody is happy with what you're writing. And finally, I think guerrilla publishing is about learning how to do things yourself. So rather than just farming it out, I've said earlier, a lot of writers, they just want to give up control. They don't want to learn how to build their platform. They don't want to learn book marketing or book design. They just want to pay someone to do it all for them. Most of the time, that's not going to work because other people will take your money and they'll stick with you for a couple months until your contract runs out or until they've delivered what they promised, but then the book won't sell. So after that, when they stop working and the book stops selling, you haven't learned any of the skills and you haven't built the platform so that you can keep launching new books, which means every new book you launch is going to be just as hard and you're always going to be starting over from scratch, which is why I really think it's important to learn how to do this all yourself. So in this free video series, I've shown you how to launch books that readers love, publish profitably, launch to #1, and this video was also about how to scale up to 1,000 a month or more. And even though I have so many free resources and hundreds of hours of YouTube videos, tons of blog content on creativity.com and some of my other sites, and a lot of resources you can use to do it all yourself, which is what I recommend. I also understand a lot of people, they just want my feedback or they just want help or support, and it can be really valuable to have someone look at your stuff and tell you, very quickly, why aren't you selling? What do you need to fix? What do you need to do better? And also to have the built-in accountability and be part of a supportive community that's helping you to set goals and to take action. Because like I said earlier, all this information, all this content doesn't really help. If it's too much or if you don't know where to get started or it's overwhelming, what I really want to do is help you to actually do something and to see results really quickly. So I built this guerrilla publishing video course as a way to give you a next step. So if the free stuff just isn't cutting it, if you're just overwhelmed and you need some extra help, I want to have something to offer you. My first course, Guerrilla Publishing, is about the bare minimum, like how to launch quickly, how to start building and publishing books to get to $1,000 a month in Kindle. The first time I launched this course last year, sold out in 48 hours. We had over 100 students, and I spent about 6 months just working exclusively with those students and helping them to improve their sales. I actually found out that's a little overwhelming. What I've decided to do is set up an evergreen funnel, which just means I'm only allowing 10 people to get into the Guerrilla Publishing course every month. And that way I only get 10 people into the course. I can focus on those 10 students every month, and I still have time for building more content, more free content, more resources or tools to help other authors who aren't in my courses. The best thing about my Guerrilla Publishing course is it lets me work with authors one-on-one and really give them specific practical feedback they can use to see massive results. And I'm going to read you 2 short testimonials. I've got tons of testimonials from students who I've helped in the past and people who have gone through my course. First one is from Tom, and he says, "I love your course, and in a few months since I've been a student, I've learned more from you than in the last 5 years. You have given me direction and instruction on how to get the life I've always wanted." The other one is from Jen, and she says, "Thanks for pouring your heart and soul into this course. It has become life-changing for me. Your course broke me out of writer's block and has helped me tap back into my flow. I've always been somewhat hesitant to really put my writing out there because of the fear of failing, and being given permission to fail has taken that paralysis away." So I'm so excited that my course has been influential for so many students, not only to actually help them with the book marketing, the publishing, and selling more books, but more importantly, to give people the confidence and the permission to keep writing the books. Because like I said, it's so important if you want to be a career author to keep the motivation. So even though the course is really good and really helps people with their publishing and book marketing, there were 2 big limitations. One is I just realized people need so much more help and feedback. So they need some personal access to me so that I can give them quick feedback and tips and suggestions and actually review their author platform and tell them what to fix. Also, people need more accountability and motivation and community. So those are some extras that I built into the course. The other big missing piece was that a lot of the stuff I focused on was after the book is finished, and what people really need help with is actually writing books that sell. So I'm going to be introducing a new program where I can kind of help them to figure out their plotting or their structure before they write the book, which I think is going to be really valuable, and help people to figure out how to write books that are going to sell before they invest all the time in writing the book, which we talked about earlier. So because this is the last video in the free video challenge, this is where I'm supposed to sell the Guerrilla Publishing course. I'm actually not going to do that. I don't even think Guerrilla Publishing is right for most authors. Almost all authors make the core mistake I talked about in video 1, which is they finish a book that nobody really wants to read, and often they just have to publish it themselves and fail before they're even willing to start writing books that readers love. So if this is your first book and you haven't even published it yet, you may just want to do that yourself. And I have a DIY epic book design package, which is like book design, but also includes my first book marketing course, Reach Your Readers. That's kind of a cheap bundle that lets people learn all my best information, but it doesn't give you personal access to me. So that way I can share a lot of value and people can get that and figure all this stuff out themselves and basically fail with their first book launch. Once you've failed a few times, you've published a few books, and you want to, fix your books and start selling, and you want to figure out what's wrong, then my Guerrilla Publishing program, it just has so much more value because I can really quickly take you from here to there. The more that you've already put out, the more that I can give you a few quick suggestions and see massive. On the other hand, if you're tired of writing books but never publishing books, or you want to just start earning a living as a writer quickly without wasting years figuring this stuff out like I did or like most authors do, or if you want to have the time and the freedom to really focus on your creative projects without the fear and the frustration of not really knowing what you're doing and the overwhelm of book marketing and trying to figure all this stuff out. But I really want to make sure that the Guerrilla Publishing program is a good fit for you and also answer any questions you might have. So what I've set up is a live masterclass where I'm going to be digging deeper. I'm basically going to go through the same Guerrilla Publishing model, but I'm going to go a lot deeper into the marketing and the steps and show you exactly how it all works and fits together. And then I'll tell you more about the course and let you ask me any questions that you have. I'll also show you how some of my students have been featured on Oprah or sold their book rights to be made into movies or video games, or sold international rights, or done press releases that got millions of views, or become New York Times or USA Today best-selling authors. Show you a lot of techniques and tactics and marketing hacks that I haven't talked about yet in the free video series. So it's going to be a little more advanced if you're looking for that next step, or you're looking for, how do I implement? How do I take the free video series and go a step deeper? I've also sent you on all these pages tons of bonus resources. So even if you don't need to work with me directly, or you don't want some help and accountability and long-term motivation, that's totally fine. I have so much free content for you. Or like I said, you can join my cheaper, the DIY package and get my first course. You won't get personal help or feedback from me, but there's still so much value in there that I know will really help you. If you haven't finished your first book yet, if you aren't even sure where to get started, if all this is still new to you, Guerrilla Publishing might not be the best fit for you. It's really better suited for more advanced publishers who have already been writing and publishing for a long time. They just haven't seen the results that they want, because I can make the biggest impact on the authors who already have a backlist, and we can change a few things and they can start selling right away. But even if this is your first book and you haven't finished yet, on the other hand, working with me directly can save you months and months of working on a project that's really not going to sell, and help you isolate. Maybe you have too many ideas and you're not sure which project you should get started with, and you just need a little bit of feedback or support to help you focus on your ideas or narrow down. Maybe you have so many topics you don't know what to focus on. I can help you, give you some feedback, and help you to organize and structure your best, most marketable idea, and help you to get it done and published so that you can start marketing it. Thanks for joining me in this free video series. I hope you like my books and all the free videos and the articles that I've shared with you. Make sure you're active in the Guerrilla Publishing Facebook group where you can get some free accountability and feedback. Like I said, I'm going to invite you to a private webinar where we'll go a little deeper if you're ready to take the next step and get some more advanced book marketing stuff. This was like a quick introduction to Guerrilla Publishing, but I'm going to share some more detailed, more advanced book marketing strategies in the private webinar, and also give you an invitation to join the Guerrilla Publishing program at a big discount with a whole bunch of extra bonuses. So I really suggest, if you're interested in learning more, joining us on the webinar tomorrow, which is going to go into some deeper strategies to help you take your book marketing to the next level. And I'll share some tactics that I haven't shared in this free video series. Like I said, there's only 10 spaces a month, and they usually sell out pretty quickly to people who are on the live webinar. But if there are extra spaces, I may also send out an email the day after tomorrow letting you know if there are more spaces and the cart's open, so that you can still get a chance to join the Guerrilla Publishing program this month. If it's sold out already and you still want to join, you may want to follow me on social media. You may get another chance to join the next month or the month after, or sometime in the future when there's more spaces available. So thanks so much. I wish you the best of luck with your publishing. I really hope that I've given you some tips with your book marketing, your publishing, and hopefully giving you some confidence to write books. I think you can definitely do this. You can definitely make a living as a writer if you want to. I hope I've given you a framework of some strategies that will help you to build your author platform or do some book marketing and publish books that readers love, because that's really what it's all about. So I hope this free video series has helped, and best of luck with your books in the future. Bye-bye.